are wrestling fans, and we are the degenerates that want to talk about it. Welcome to Kicking At It 2. I'm Michael. With me, as always, is Tori. Hey, Tori.
Right as I took a drink.
Just like a server. What are we drinking today? What's from Sonic?
Strawberry lemonade, same thing as always. I have to say, I'm proud of myself. 14 days without a Pepsi.
Very good.
It's pretty impressive for me.
That is, because that was like crack for you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, there's been a couple times I'm like, I want a Pepsi, and Grace is like, nope, I forbid it. I'm sorry, what? She's like, no, you've got a phone, you don't need one.
So then do I pat you on the back or pat her on the back?
Yes.
I'll
take care of it.
There you go. All right, Barry Horowitz. All right, we're going to talk about some news. I want to go ahead and get the common one out of the way. The common theme lately has been Vince and his shenanigans. So before SmackDown, Triple H called a talent meeting.
I haven't heard about this, so
there you go. All right, to have some conversation. So I'm getting this transcript from Fightful Select. Since Vince McMahon forced himself back into the company, there have been numerous talent concerned about their creative futures. Triple H said that he has been assured that Vince McMahon's return to the company should sell, to see if the company should sell, and help lead the charge and figure out who they might sell the company to if they do. He made an attempt to squash the story of being being a done deal, and said even if it happened, it would take a lot longer. So, trying to, obviously the big thing was Saudi. That was the big rumor because of one random tweet, and then everybody just latched on to it. So it's good that he's quelling that, and that was one of the things. Sean Ross Sapp, I was watching their thing. They do a NXT review, and he hopped on there. He doesn't normally, but he just wanted to talk about it because it was such a big deal that night.
Right.
And that was one of the things he really pushed was, look, if they were selling to anybody, like that's not going to be something that we hear today, hey, they've sold, because that's going to take a long time. You got to go through the board. You got to go through the shareholders. It's a lot bigger process than just, hey, yeah, it's official. We sold. So,
well, I think with Vince coming back, the other two he brought, and then the two that stepped down within about a 24-hour period, and then Stephanie leaves.
Yeah,
the pieces fell to make sense.
Yeah, it was definitely it was the weirdest game of wrestling Clue I've ever seen, because you have Stephanie step down, so you have a female CEO that's no longer there. You have Vince coming back, and there was rumors that Vince had been talking to Saudi before he got back, so putting that stuff in motion maybe.
And then he brought two with him.
Yeah.
And then two others quit.
Right.
Like I said, it just
all of it just seemed really
right.
So good to see that they were quelling that a little bit. What calmed many talents' concerns was Triple H stating that none of what is going on with Vince McMahon will change the creative process he has in place, or the team that helps him put it together. So he made it very clear, this is still our creative. It's not going to change. So
I feel like that was necessary.
Absolutely.
Honestly, for us too. Because what was our biggest concern? Creative.
Yep.
Aside from who owned it because of the number, what would happen, the ripple effect. But the biggest fear, since Vince is like, I'm coming back, is creative.
He did also say that Triple H and Vince McMahon will have discussions, but that Triple H is the final call.
Okay.
So if he says this is the way we're doing it, then this is the way we're doing it. He did thank everybody. He understood their concerns, and there's a lot of trepidation going on in the locker room. So he did try his best to smooth those over. A little update that they have in this report as well was that Kevin Dunn also spoke at the talent meeting. He said he
was a Vince guy, wasn't he?
Exactly, and that's what he was pointing out. He said he's worked for Vince for 40 years, and since coming back, Vince hasn't said a peep to him about making any changes. Okay. So
I feel like the Vince Triple H meeting goes like this. Hey, I have these ideas for you. Oh, okay, cool, thanks.
I'm going to rip this up like a Raw script 10 minutes before the show. Dunn largely did reiterate Triple H's points. and it's said to have helped everybody kind of calm down the meeting a little bit more
Good.
because
That's good.
because he was a Vince guy, like
Right.
he was one of the guys, so definitely a good thing to throw out there. Um, Cody Rhodes said in an interview that he is starting to train for his return. So seems like we might be kind of getting into it now. What was interesting is who he picked to help him come back. So he picked Carmelo Hayes and Joe Gacy to help him come back.
Really?
So that's who he's wanting to train with. Really cool that it's, an in-house group of people. It's also really interesting that it's really people kind of young in the business.
It's 2 NXT guys.
Yes, I mean, interesting.
Well, but Gacy's ring psychology is very Cody.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Carmelo's kind of the same athletic level. I mean, Carmelo's more athletic than Cody, but just in terms of moveset and what they like to do in the ring, those are both very complementary to Cody's styles.
Yeah,
plus,
I can see that.
Cody can learn from that too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things with Cody. He's always been, I'm going to learn more.
Yeah, he's definitely been a thinking man's wrestler. Like, what can get me a little bit better as we go along? Not to any surprise, but Cody Rhodes seems to be factored in WWE's WrestleMania plans, despite the injury that the scuttle backstage is that that's still kind of the plan, is that he's going to be high up the card in the return. So definitely some good stuff. Glad to see it all started because he was spotted at the Performance Center, kind of warming up, getting ready. So we may see. I mean, it seems like we'll definitely see him back by WrestleMania. It also means that we may see him in a couple of weeks if he feels good enough.
I kind of wanted it because it's 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, so it may be good. One little bit of news that's just kind of fun is Jade Cargill broke the record for the longest reigning champion in AEW history. I know it's a small history, but 373 days. It was Sheeta's record was 372. So you don't seem excited by that news.
I'm indifferent to that news. I don't know. I feel like for having an undefeated streak, yes, I will say she's done a lot of crossover and is very recognized outside of wrestling. But in terms of her in-ring work and everything, it doesn't seem like it's getting a ton better. For having had a title over a year, and the problem is she's only had 49 matches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many matches did Fuego del Sol have last year? Or John's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like she's not progressing as much as she should be. And she's still undefeated, but it's only 49 matches.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that. And even though, like, she is impressive in the ring. And I do agree with you, though, like, her trajectory of getting better is kind of stagnant. And I wonder if that is because of who they put her against. Because
she's been in there with everybody, though. She's been in there with Madison, Willow. I mean, she's been in there with some really experienced people.
Yes. But experienced people that have been to the top of the mountain?
Athena.
Yeah.
I mean, Madison used to sit on the top of the mountain in Impact, and I understand it's not quite the same, but she still went through a lot of really good people.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I wonder if, if we put her in there with a Toni Storm, with a Ruby Riott, which we'll talk about Ruby and how good she is at some point.
Jamie.
Put her in with some of these people that, like, are really damn good. Because even with Athena, like, her match with Athena, I wasn't impressed with, and so Like, I don't feel like Athena had the opportunity to really bring it in that match.
Right. I agree.
And that's what I want. I want someone to test her mettle and see how good she can be.
I think her and Jamie Hayter would be a hell of a match.
I think it would too. We got to get Jamie and Britt first, though.
Right.
I did want to. So we don't review Impact. However, I did want to note Mickie James has been doing a Last Rodeo tour.
I saw that.
Yeah, she won the Knockouts Championship from Jordan Grace.
Saw that.
Good for her.
Right. Is she going to keep going, or is she done walking away as the champ?
I don't know.
I thought she was going until she lost, but then she's had this title match. I kind of thought this was the.
Well, so if I remember the original start of this, it was she was going to make her way back to the title, and if she lost along the way, she was done. So,
okay.
Honestly,
so when she drops the title, it'll probably be her last.
Right. Honestly, I thought this was the road to her retirement. I was really surprised to see her get the belt.
I was too.
Really interesting. Another fun thing that happened on the show is Santino Marella came back.
I saw that, and I'm here for it.
I am thoroughly excited. Santino was such a fun character, and the fact that he's getting to be Santino Marella and he's getting to be that character, awesome.
His daughter is in NXT, I think.
I believe she is. She's or at least the Level Up program.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's there. So the fact that they were able to work that out, let him use that gimmick, that's great. Like I just resaw rather the Umaga and him coming in. I just watched that. And then the next day I hear about him coming back, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
I heard about that last night, and then I saw the Umaga thing today.
And just hearing him talk, he's still got the comedic chops. He's up at the top of the ramp, and he's talking about how, like, I'm here as the DOA, and we had this big thing that was going to happen, and we're going to have, what was it, Ravens, or Falcons flying through. Don't worry, they were fed. They weren't hungry. By the way, hold on. Hold the elephants. Hold the elephants.
That whole thing was so good.
Just dying. If you're gonna get Scott D'Amore off TV and put someone else in charge for TV, I'm good with it.
Right.
It's so much fun. I'm sure they'll get some flack because it's another ex-WWE guy, but
who cares?
Yeah.
Why is this? You know what? No, I'm not. This is.
The final bit of news, just more on WWE and the Cell. It was stated in a fairly good report that they are looking to sell probably by mid this year, which is not surprising because, I mean, the original report that when all this came out was that around middle of this year is when the TV deals come up. So obviously you would want to sell it
next year.
Is it next year? I thought it was this year.
I thought it was 24, and they were trying to start putting everything in place for that.
But they were looking. They're saying that they're looking somewhere around summer this year of trying to have that in place. If they do, they do. The fun one that has popped up lately is apparently it has been rumored that Tony Khan is wanting to merge the two, or he's at least interested in that prospect. Honestly, I hope his dad says no, because
I hope
that's where good mother.
I hope if it happens, Dad says okay, but 95% of the time we're not interacting. Once every now and then, something that makes sense.
Forbidden door situation.
Yes. One pay-per-view a year, I'm fine with it.
I don't disagree. My only issue with him having it is, like, relatively kayfabe is dead, and it's sad that it is, but it's where we are. Eventually, right. we had to grow up and we had to learn that Santa Claus wasn't real. Hopefully, nobody's kids are watching. But
it's just not real to you. It's still real to me. Damn it!
Thank you. It's just, if he owns both, it's hard for me to, as a fan, to sit back and go, okay, so these are two different entities. No, 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 they're one big entity. It's just you have two different shows now. Um, and so
I
that's
get
my
that.
only problem with it.
But
Um,
I feel like I just had a thought run through my head that would be interesting, but it's a whole other thing.
well,
I
we're only
don't think it
15
would.
minutes in, so
Well, no, it's like a whole
hmm,
could turn into a whole separate thing.
gotcha. All right.
Um, I don't. I see good and bad. Um, Obviously, if one person owns everything, it takes away from the competition. We've seen this.
Right.
I'm not taking anything away from Impact, any of the other promotions around the country that are doing great things. It's not the same. You're not challenging this company.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I could see it working if whether it was 100% we're not interacting and you're doing your show and they're doing their show. Um, May the best show win,
Yep.
or it's Tony saying, I'm just here for the business aspect. Triple H is taking care of where he's at. I'm going to bring someone in to take care of AEW. I'm going to step back and just run the business part to both. I personally would be a bigger fan of that because I think they need somebody else booking AEW.
I don't disagree. Also, I think Tony being an on-screen talent is detrimental.
I agree.
Like him showing up at the scrums, him showing up on TV. He's not a good TV personality.
He's not, and the fact that he literally looks like he's high on cocaine with his energy all the time is not a good thing. It's not.
Yeah.
It's funny to us, business wise. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not a good thing.
I mean, it's definitely. I'm not gonna pat myself on the back, and I'm not gonna push myself up and say like I'd be an amazing booker.
Oh, right.
But if I'm a wrestling fan that owns a company, I understand the desire of I want to get my hands dirty and I want to be part of it. But at some
100%.
point, you have to step back and go, is that what's good for the company? Or should I bring someone in that knows more about it than I do?
As much as I hate it when they used it before, but is that what's best for business?
Yeah. Um, so, I mean, that would definitely be an interesting situation. It has been rumored, not posted officially anywhere that's been said, but it is uh, being rumored around that the hope is whoever buys the company wants to keep Steph and Trip as main heads. So maybe
They
we see
should.
Stephanie
I
come
mean,
back.
even with Stephanie stepping away for a while, if in a year she wants to come back,
Yeah,
there's no reason you don't hand her that role because her last name is still McMahon.
yeah. And then the idea is that Vince would go away. Um,
My concern goes back to the same thing with the Saudis that Vince is going to force this sale with the caveat that he stays in charge in some way.
yeah. So, and the hope would be to me that, I mean, just looking on an outsider at the business side of things, business is better without him.
100%.
Now, if just to counter and play devil's advocate, if he stays where he's saying he's staying, and creative still ends up being good, people still come flocking back.
He's in there. I don't care.
Because like I read something that SmackDown, like it was a tick up in viewership this week, and so just hearing that viewership is going up is amazing.
Yeah.
So if it continues that, then okay, maybe like I'm okay with him saying, "Yeah, I need to be part of this." But I would hope I hope people would the people buying it would look at it and go, "Yeah, but you running the business, it wasn't as good as it is now." So
How much do you think that eats away at his ego?
probably a lot. Just the kind
Because
of
he left happiness. I have not heard anything from any news report from the locker room going people are unhappy.
yeah.
No, it's not happening.
Yeah. I
And that's up. morale is up, obviously.
Yeah.
The shows are better, and you can tell because they're happier. The writing is better. The
Right.
storylines are better. We're getting long-term story stuff. We're not getting, I'm booking for this week.
Right.
We're not
And
booking
forgetting
for
what I
the
booked last week.
we're not booking for the next 3 hours. We're booking for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Or the next however long.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I'm a big fan of where we are today, and so anything that doesn't give us a step backwards is nice.
I agree.
I do want to end on a fun, just a question to you. So,
Okay.
Tony Khan owns the Jaguars.
Right. I saw that. I know where you're going with this too.
So there's a good chance that they win the Super Bowl this year, and every year WWE makes a title for the
Do they send
winner
it to him?
of the Super Bowl.
I don't know if I think they would because technically his dad owns the Jaguars.
Yep, but
But no,
if that
I've seen that
happens,
and I was like, that's funny as hell.
see, and my question is not do they make it, because that's the big question everybody's asking is, well, do they give them one? I think they still give them one. My question is, does Tony Khan show up on Dynamite the next week with that damn title, holding that shit over his shoulder?
There's a petty part of me that says, oh yes. Oh yes.
I would. Damn
Especially,
right I would.
especially if they have a show at Daly's place.
Yep.
But at the same time, how do you think someone like MJF is going to react if he sees Tony walk out with that title? Oh, you brought it for me to look at before I leave?
But to me, that just adds to it.
Oh, 100%. No, there's no chance he puts that on his TV. There's no chance. Doesn't
No.
mean he doesn't do it for something else. There's no chance he puts that on TV.
Yeah. I mean, at very least, he's going to put it on Twitter. He'll be holding it over his shoulder.
Which would be fucking hysterical.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if he doesn't make his own plates for it, to be honest, just to play. But anyway, so that's my question of the week. Does he show up on TV with it?
I don't think so.
That's the news for this section. Nothing else I could really find. Nothing else that really kind of stuck out to me. Definitely some fun things to think about. Good to see Cody, getting his reps back in. Good to see him coming back.
I feel like he's showing up at the Rumble.
I would not be surprised. And it's one of those I wouldn't be surprised one way or the other. If he holds off because he's building up his strength for Mania, yes. I wouldn't be surprised. But if he shows up, number 13 in the Rumble, not surprised by that either.
I won't be surprised if he comes out number 1 just to prove a point.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if he wins it either. Like my thing is, honestly, if he's entered, do you remember when the whole Daniel Bryan thing?
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to win the Rumble and go to Mania to face, I think it was Batista or Randy for the title, and he got tossed out. And the crowd reaction, I feel like this would be the same thing.
I don't disagree. Now, I will say if he's not going to be there, they need to say that. Because you talk about that Rumble, I think about the other Rumble where Batista showed up number 30 and Daniel Bryan never showed up.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, boo.
Right.
So
that's fair. That's a fair point.
If he's not going to be there, they need to say that. So that way when number 30 comes, we're not thinking he's popping out.
Right.
The Cody Vader is stuck or something.
There's only one thing I care about, and that's who is number 10. That's all I care about.
That's right.
I need
Preston.
That so badly. No. No.
No Preston? No? Okay.
No.
No, I'm with you. I would love to see Ty pop up, or even Sean, however he wants to say it. I would love to see him show up.
I would like to see him show up as Sean Spears. What I would also like to see is in the Women's Rumble. I'm not even sure if Cassie's had her baby, so I don't know that Peyton's an option. But Peyton and Billie Kay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to make those women tag title relevant again? Bring the Iconics back.
I would absolutely love it.
I'm here for that all day long.
Yeah.
I loved those two. We probably ought to do I say we do a show Friday or Saturday morning before the Rumble, and kind of think of some people that could show up.
So I was actually going to say that, and I may leave this in or cut it out. I don't know, but I was actually thinking, do we want to start doing like pay-per-view previews and
Not a bad
maybe
idea.
like who we think will win and like talk over that?
Yeah, that could be good. We'll make Grace do it with us.
Okay.
Nothing, honey. I'm just messing with you.
She'll just pick at my pictures. I think that one will
She
win.
will too. She will. She'll look at a picture and be like, I think that person's winning. Am I wrong? Unless it's Seth. She'll pick Seth. It doesn't matter who it is.
Well,
She's a big fan of the Monday Night Messiah.
That's not a bad pick at
It's
any
not.
point.
It's really not.
It really turned down the idea of Seth winning. So,
Uh-uh.
all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you for spending your time with us. If you're enjoying our podcast, support us, share this episode, share our channel, hit up our socials, which are down here at the bottom. If you want to get our back catalog, you can always get us right here on youtube.com at Kicking Out at 2. Until next time, I am Michael. This is Tori, and we will see you on the next one.